Welcome to You Are Not Alone. This is a safe place to explore all things spiritual and beyond. I am spiritual medium Erika Gabriel. Well, hello, friends. Welcome back. Welcome back to your show. You Are Not Alone. How is everybody? I felt like I just needed to ask that. And I see you all with your earbuds in your cars doing the things you do when you listen to this show. And I feel like everyone is answering out loud right now. Like, I'm okay. Or like, wow, what a week, I actually had a couple people tell me this week, actually friends and people that I read for that they answer me when I ask questions or when I'm like, "Do you guys understand what I'm saying?" And they'll be like, "Yes, Erica. Yes, I'm with you, Erica." So I just pictured everyone answering out loud. So today, let me tell you a little bit, as I'm recording, there is a little bit of fuzziness. So if you're hearing any fuzziness or any feedback, I am so sorry. Me and my amazing guests spent a long time trying to figure out where this kind of fuzz was coming from. It will be fascinating to me if no one else hears it and only me and my guest hear it as we're both mediums. So we're like hearing spirit. But if you hear that, so I apologize in advance. And my prayer is that the messages of this podcast and this episode really get to you, even if there is fuzziness, because this is such a special episode and the way that this episode came together and the person I'm interviewing is so special. And this moment in time that brought us together is so special. So, my prayer is that you receive these messages and really hear this connection, even if it sounds fuzzy. But hopefully, my producer will fix the fuzziness and this will all be a moot point anyway. But I'm happy you're here. And I want to tell you a little bit about what happened and how I met my beautiful guest, Nicole. So, I get a lot of inquiries to come on the podcast. It's so nice and so flattering. Um, and this season, especially, it has just been like really, really a calling for me to do a lot of solo episodes. Isn't that interesting? Like, I feel like there's been so many seasons where I've had so many guests and they've been so powerful and so amazing. And I know they mean a lot to you guys because you call them and get sessions from them. And this season was such a call for a lot of solo communication, which has been amazing. And actually, you guys have all told me, like, Erica, we like the solo. And then when I have a guest, everyone's like, "Oh, that was great. That was great." So I have not been responsive to people's requests to come on the podcast. As you know, also, guys, if you've seen me do a live on Instagram or something, I have to get like this. It's like I call it a pop or a green flag. It just has to be a green flag. It doesn't mean other things are red flags. It just means that things pop like a green flag when something is right. So I get a message in my inbox. Hi, Erica. My name is Nicole. Just saw your live. I really liked it. I'd love to give you a session. And if you like the session, then maybe I can do an episode of your podcast. And in my mind, I just hear, okay, let's do that. Literally. Like other people that have contacted me, I'm like, I need to think about this. I need to meditate on this. I need to go into my guides on this. Or sometimes people write me, I'm like, they're awesome, but the timing isn't right or whatever. And with Nicole, it's just like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do this. It was such an automatic, just yes, this is what you're doing. And I wrote Nicole back and I said, hey, I got a big yes, and I'm really excited to meet you. And I have to also say ahead of time, if this doesn't gel, will you be okay if you don't come on my podcast? And I had to make that clear because even if it was an amazing thing, but there was something that didn't gel, you guys know the only people I trust to come on my podcast, it's like I trust them because I am, also not protecting you, but my mind is on you, the listeners. So many of you call the people that are on my show because you know that there's someone that I really connected with, clicked with, and feel that they're a safe person to do this type of work with. So, and I told Nicole that she's like, yeah, totally fine. Like there was just so much ease for us. It was so much ease. And then I had wanted her to do a mediumship reading, but we didn't get in contact in enough time. So she had gotten herself ready to do an angel reading for me. And she did the reading, and at the very end, I just look at her and I was like, "I have a really big regret." And she was like, "Really?" And I'm like, "My biggest regret is that we didn't record that session." And that was so beautiful and so special, and it meant so much to me. And let me tell you, side note, you guys have heard me get some small readings on this podcast, but as Erika in my life, I do not get readings. Not for anything negative, but it just has to be right. And I really just said, like, I just wish I had recorded that because everyone should hear that reading. I would be honored to have you come on my podcast. Let's, let it flow and see what comes up. So, without further ado, this is Nicole Hickman. She is an angel communicator, an Akashic record reader, a medium, and also an animal communicator reader as well. And Nicole, I should say, she is German and she lives in San Diego because she's lucky. She's with the sun. Nicole Hickman, welcome to You Are Not Alone.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on your show today.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. And, meeting you was such a gift. So thank you for finding me.
We got brought together. We don't know how, but we ended up together, which was perfect. I always love when our guides work on the other side together,
Right. And isn't that like, not everything is such an easy flow and a click, but there is a component that like life has to have that. There has to be flow. And the flow between us was just like, hello, yes, hello, yes, hello, yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, in my readings, I also would like to give people that easy flow because I do understand, because I went through a Kundalini awakening, I do understand their pain. And for me, I understand also now the bigger picture of why pain is here. So I have an easy understanding of why they're going through a hard time. So that is my gift, and I'm so honored to do this because I would not know where anybody stands. But the moment they sit on my chair or they're on my Zoom, I see them on a completely different. I see immediately their core pain, which I can, only because I had a Kundalini awakening, I can deal with that on a different level. Otherwise, I would try to get you out of pain, fix anything, but I'm not here to fix anything. I'm here to help you with your next step. And my guides will always show me what is just the next step, because you could not bring anybody anyway. Let's say if somebody is in the first grade and you want to bring them to 12th grade, that would be an insult for this person because they have a right to be where they stand. So for me, it's always an honor to connect. And then just what my guides are showing me, and I'm always blown away and so honored.
That is amazing. And you definitely saw immediately into the heart of me for sure. And I love that you said that, like rushing someone, that does happen at times in readings where I can connect to their higher self and see perhaps where they're going or kind of the full vision of their soul, and also meet them where they are, and that's okay. It's not like they're less than or anything. It's just where they are on their journey. And that's the love. Like I always say, I fall in love with everyone I read for. Like really. So even someone
Yes, that's the same with me.
yeah, like even someone in the beginning of the reading, just when I'm talking to them as Erika, and I'm like, this person, we have different everything, views, political, whatever it may be. And then you open to read for them and all you feel is love. And I know you're the same. So how did this start? And a lot of people don't know what a Kundalini awakening is. A lot of people do. What's so special about people listening to this show is that they discover new things and they discover things that maybe they had never heard of. So can you explain kind of what led up to the Kundalini awakening and what that is?
A Kundalini awakening, in my opinion, is something that your soul is ready for. So I did not think about, I'm ready as Nicole now hit me with the Kundalini awakening. It's more like my soul was ready for this heavy transformation because the Kundalini is no fun. Your life is literally upside down in any direction: health, finances, family, friends. Nothing is the same, and it happens at once. And you just sit there and you think, what is happening in the world? But through this whole process, there's a lot of purging. There's a lot of, I can go literally through all the chakras, and every chakra has different, blockages or different, information about your life, and everything comes up. So whatever you've done through your whole life comes back at that moment, and you have the chance to see it from a different perspective. But seeing it from a different perspective will take time. So this is a process where it's, like I said, you would not want this. You would not say, oh, I'm ready, hit me. So my life is upside down. It hit me, but my soul was ready for it. And I had no idea, So it took almost like 2 to 3 years, depends, because there's different phases. The Kundalini, first phase, everything crumbles. Your ego is shattered in a million pieces. And then the next phase comes the rebuild, and then the integration, where you can literally see your own innocence in the most beautiful way. And then comes also where you can see the whole world, the whole universe in a new perspective. So it brings you to the source energy, but it is something that I would not recommend to anybody, It's kind of like you need to be ready on a soul level. I had no idea I was ready for that.
And how did you come to it? Did you, do a breathing class and it started that way? Did it, how did you come to it?
I woke up one morning and I had the big cloud hanging over me, and I felt very connected to source. And this cloud I had no connection to source. I had fear of dying. This is also the process of the ego. Ego go through ego death, but it's not really a death, it's a transformation. So it brings out all the fear, everything, sadness, loneliness. At the beginning of it, I was like, what's going on? Why I am feeling that way? Because I'm generally very positive. And suddenly I could not be going through life on a regular basis, But then on top of it, everything around crumbled, So it is a process that really hits you. It's not pleasant. So it's not something, but the end of it is completely different story. You see, oh my God, you see through the source eyes. I had an out-of-body experience where my body was taken out, my consciousness was taken out, and I saw a homeless person walking on the street, and I was seeing the homeless person and my life as Nicole as the same value, beautiful, just love for everybody, And I had other out-of-body experiences afterwards too, but this was also one where I could see that we're all connected, that we're all equal, that we all just going through a journey from unconsciousness to consciousness, of forgetting that we are source energy and going back to knowing that we are source energy. And this is a process through the ego transformation. So this is bringing your ego home, is meeting your innocence and meeting your soul. Does that make sense?
It does. And I wanted to ask you too, do you feel that a Kundalini awakening is the same thing as a spiritual awakening? How is it different?
I think a spiritual awakening, I feel like I had that too. It's kind of like a piece of this Kundalini awakening, and we all get there piece by piece. So yeah, it is also an awakening. It's a piece of this whole puzzle.
That makes so much sense.
But I would say the Kundalini awakening is just really where you are completely shattered and then completely open. Because right after the Kundalini awakening, I was able to hear, I was able to see, I was able to, that's why I became an Akashic Record reader, an angel reader, animal communicator. And before that, I worked for the corporate world. I never ever thought I would be working as a medium. But that was just obvious afterwards because everything was open.
So you do all these kinds of readings. It's interesting with what you do because it's very clear for you which type of session you're doing, right? So you do the angel reading, Akashic, medium, animal, and that's different for everyone. So my readings are a little bit different where I'm holding space. So many things come forward, including these things. You know what I mean? It can be all in the same reading. It's really what, that person, what spirit wants that person to have at that time in their life. And I wonder for you, how each of these connections feel. Like, how do you feel when you're with the angels? How do you feel when you're going through the records? How do you feel when you're connecting with someone's loved ones? And how do you feel when you're with animals? And then I want to ask you more questions about Akashic Records. But yeah.
Yes. When I do an Akashic Record reading, I connect to gatekeepers that have access to your soul book. I don't have access to it, but you have me all of gatekeepers, and they show me exactly what is needed for you at that time. And I always get really hot when I do an Akashic Record reading. When I do an angel reading, I get really cold. It's a completely different energy. I get so cold, I shiver. I have to go to bed. I put a blanket over me afterwards, not before, afterwards. And when I do a mediumship reading, the energy is kind of slow, because I connect to loved ones. So with the angel and the Akashic, it's like a download. I sit there an hour before the reading, connect with your energy, and everything just comes to me, and I just write everything down, 3, 4, 5 pages, And with the mediumship, it's more like a slow process of talking. And the animal reading, oh my God, I enjoy animal reading. It's pure joy to connect with the animals. They're like little children. It's so much fun to connect with them. I love animal readings.
That is so beautiful. And, I get asked a lot. And so I have to ask you, and people always ask me this in interviews, and I'm always like, why do you want to know that? But now as like someone who's interviewing you, I'm like, I want to know. So people always ask me if I'm a vegan.
If you are a vegan?
Yeah, like a vegetarian or a vegan.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we talk about the energy that connects all things and that God runs through
Yeah.
all of us, and that animals
Yes.
are precious souls and
Yes.
spirits just here for love. And so people go, so you're a vegan, right?
I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah.
I was eating meat before I had my Kundalini awakening, and during my Kundalini awakening, I could not eat. I lost 40 pounds. I was not able to eat. It was, like I said, your health is upside down, and I went to 7 hospitals, and they couldn't find out what it is, but I was just not able to eat. So I became back then a vegan, but then I switched to vegetarian because I still need my B12 through milk and cheese, and I love cheese. So
Well, you're German. You know what I mean?
yes,
I feel like my mom is from Sweden. I know that's completely different countries, but like the best cheeses are like in Europe. You know what I mean?
yes,
Oh my
yes,
God. Like
yeah.
my mom eats toast with cheese every single morning. I could eat cheese all day long. It's like the best dairy in the world, but I digress. Sorry. But I'm like, of course you need to have your cheese. Come on. But yeah, so okay, so there are such different feelings and energies and I get that when I read as well. For me, it's more like where I see the person or where I see the angels. Angels are behind, loved ones are over the right shoulder. It's kind of where I see
Yeah,
them
yeah, yeah,
and really communicating so with their spirit guides. So when you went through this awakening, do you work with your own spirit guides that are your gatekeepers to help with your readings? What is your connection like to your guides?
yeah. I was shown very early on that I work with a special archangel, so I always work with him.
Wow, so an angel, not a spirit guide.
Yeah, I work with they're all spirit guides, they're all guides helping you, whether it's a master, an archangel, your loved ones, they're all spirit guides. They're helping you.
I love that.
That's what I do with my angel readings. I connect to all your spirit team, and then they give me all the information they want to share with you at that moment in time. I have customers, they come 3-4 times already, and every reading is completely different. And I have to say this, I think when I started my spirituality, my biggest goal was, and I started very early, I think in my 20s, I started really diving into spirituality. And my goal was always, if I have children, I want to help my children. And I do a reading every month for my daughter. She's now 19. We both love it so much because the moment I connect with her energy, I'm not her mother. And I get information that blows me away. And that's for me the biggest gift of all, that I could help my son is too young. He's 15. And I think it's also not at an age where you want to interfere too much. But my daughter is completely ready, and she loves when we do readings together. So that is also for me a big gift that I enjoy, because I can help on a different level,
What a beautiful thing to get to connect in that way. My kids are still young, so I have a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old, and my 10-year-old, is obsessed with coming to my office, and he wants to sit on the floor, and he wants me to have pull cards for him, which is age appropriate, He also has his own deck of spirit animal cards that he likes to pull from as well. He loves crystals. He really connects in his appropriate way, and it's so fun. That's awesome.
And the children are still open to, to the other side so much more than when you're an adult. And it's beautiful when this happens.
Absolutely. What did your husband think when you were going through this awakening?
Oh, it was hilarious. When I said I'm becoming a medium, he's like, okay, I am 100% behind you, but please don't ever ask me to go with you anywhere or have a reading for me. I don't want that.
Wow.
Now he's my biggest fan. Every time I have a reading, he calls me and he asks me, how was your reading? And he's always, very curious. And now he even says, I channel to my own guides, and before I was like, I don't want to hear anything about it. And now he's very into it himself.
That's so awesome.
But I gave him time. I didn't push it.
Absolutely. That's something that a lot of people ask. Like, what do I do if my husband or my wife or my girlfriend, boyfriend, mom, sister, cousin, they don't understand? It's like, that's okay. They'll, everyone is evolving and growing in their own time. So
Yes,
that's awesome.
That's exactly what I always say too. Yeah.
So I wanted to see if we could talk about my reading a little bit, if you felt comfortable with that. And I kind of want to tell people listening, first of all, I absolutely endorse the right thing? I endorse getting a reading with Nicole. We did an angel reading. So that's the reading we did. I just thought it was so connected, so eye-opening, so clarifying, and just a beautiful experience. And I thank her so much for that. So let's talk a little bit about this reading. And then you know what? I just realized, I'm looking at my notes. Before we talk about my reading, a huge topic that people want to know about, and I've done podcasts on, but I'd love to get your perspective, is to you and what you've been shown, what are the Akashic Records? And I wanted to ask you that before we move on, because that's a big topic with my listeners, our listeners.
Well, the Akashic Record is a library of all the information that your soul's journey is, going through. And for me to get into a past life and get information from a past life, it's mind-blowing. I mean, it helps so much to understand where you are right now, what you're going through. I just had a reading last week with a man. He 35 years old. And the thing is, when I talk to them, I have no idea what they're going through. He sat down on my chair, and a moment as he sat down, I felt a heaviness. And I said to him, you are not comfortable in rooms. And he looks at me and says, no, I'm not. And I said, oh my God, in your past life, you died in a fire. And he started crying. He said he is terrified of fire. And all his life, he is trying to escape or to run away from something, and he has no idea. He's always in the survival mode. So I was able to explain why he feels that way. But it's more important for me to also bring him to peace, because this is more important than just give you the information, And afterwards, he was completely at peace with his life right now. I was able to, separate those lives, because he is so in tune with his past life that he thinks this is happening in this life. And this is not a lot of times that I have customers who are so in tune with their past life. So we had to kind of separate this and also bring peace to his, fear, and bring peace to his running, and feeling constantly of surviving. And he was so thankful. So this me being able to step into a past life and help people, this is so beautiful, so beautiful. Yeah, so sometimes I'm being shown 2 lives, past lives, but most of the time they just show me 1 past life, which is important and for this life. And they tell me exactly what the person needs in order to evolve in the next step.
I definitely want to get an Akashic record reading with you. And it would be so interesting to see if you were shown the lives that I've been shown.
Yes. When I became an Akashic record reader, I immediately were able to see my own past life. I was reading a book about, not masters, but spiritual beings. And I was like, oh my God. And I looked at her day when she died. It was May 8th, and 8 is always a number that I love. And then also when she was born was the 3rd. And the 3rd was also a number that the number 3 was always. So I had no idea why. I loved those 2 numbers so much.
That's beautiful.
And then also everything resonated right away. I knew that was me. I knew, I had no doubts about it. I didn't need another Akashic record reader to verify that. I saw my own past life.
Let me ask you this. When you were in that life, did you recognize people in that life that are in this life as well? Like, do you connect with soul groups and reincarnating in soul groups?
Yes. It was the medium that helped me to make my readings better. He's from England, and I worked with him. And I always thought, oh my God, I know him, but I was too shy to ask him, but I knew him. And the funny thing is, through me knowing my past life, I was able to research. And then there was a guy that worked with this person from the past life, and he exactly looked like the person from England. It's like, oh my God, I just, connected with a person from my past life.
That's beautiful. And I know that people feel that a lot, where they meet someone and they're like, oh my God, I just knew them, And
Yes. And I had also a customer that she happily married. And she's like, oh my God, I have so much feeling for this person. I have no idea. And I told her that before she even said that to me, because in my readings, they showed that to me. And I said, you have a person in your life that you feel very connected, and you were questioning why. And she's like, yes, I have feelings for this person, but I'm happily married. And I said, yes. And I was able to tell that there were brothers and sisters, not meant to be, together as a couple, but she had feelings for that person,
I've had a few people like that. They're like, I'm married, but I'm in love with my coworker and I'm having an affair. This must be a past life thing, right? And sometimes I'm like, nope. Sorry. You're just having an affair and you need to go figure out what you're going to do about your husband because you're having an affair and you're lying. No judgment. But, sorry, I wish I could say it's because of a past life, but no, it's this life.
Yeah.
So funny. So let me ask you also, and then we'll go on to my reading, but I was trying to figure out when I wanted to air this episode, and it just kept on coming up that I'm going to air it on Halloween. And I was thinking about doing like a Halloween episode, but the problem is, guys, if you know me and you've known me for a while, a lot of you have been following me for a long time. I'm not a Halloween person. I'm not into all of that, like I like fall, but I'm not super into Halloween for all kinds of reasons. So I don't want to do a Halloween episode where it's like about ghosts and goblins, and I don't want to do that. So I decided to not do it because I can do whatever the fuck I want because it's my show. I will tell you this, when people are like, I love your show, I listen to it every week. I'm like, oh my God, people are listening to this? Obviously, I know you are, but you're just it's just organically me, authentically me. So I'm like, "Oh God, I curse. Don't listen to it with your kids." But the idea that I wanted to ask you about, because this is a Halloween episode, is what is your download? What is your take on ghosts and hauntings?
We have an energy. And when you are still in 3D or in 4D, you're still in fear. You're still fear-based, which is nothing wrong, but your ego still runs on fear-based thoughts. By the way, your ego is a small version of you. So it's still scared. And it is okay that it's scared, But in 5D, you just have a bigger picture on that there is no ghosts. Those are spirits, So it is more like wherever your energy is at that moment, there is a counter energy on the other side, and which then reflects back where you stand. But there's nothing wrong with it. So that's why I, for example, don't protect, because I work with angels. They are high energy. Why do I have to protect and be scared? I already know that we are going through a journey for being unconscious and then going back to consciousness. And I know this is all a journey, but I know that everything comes from an innocent part of not knowing who they are. It doesn't mean that I will say, a murder is a source energy. Yes, but a murder that forgot that it's source energy and has to go through a journey. So he still has to go to jail, still has to go through this process of becoming conscious, But I find it interesting about ghosts, but I really understand that those are not ghosts, Those are souls messing with you,
Do you like Halloween?
I'm born on November 1st, which is around Halloween. I love Halloween, but I'm not afraid of it. I think it's beautiful. I have no bad feelings about it. So
It's funny, I don't get scared. It's not the idea of ghosts that scare me, it's people's energy that I don't like. They're just like, I don't it's other people's energy that I think is so erratic and intense and weird around Halloween. So I'm just like, I just want to, like, I don't know, make some cupcakes. I don't know. Well, that's really, really
it's
interesting.
fine. I mean,
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not like a fear
yeah.
or like a distaste. I still, decorate my house. My kids are like, "Mom, more spider webs, more cobwebs on the bushes." They love it. They think it's great. Well, that's amazing. So yeah, so you guys, I got this incredible reading, as I've been talking about, from Nicole. And now I have to sign up for an Akashic record reading. So now, like, you got me hooked. Now you got me hooked. Well, it's interesting, Nicole. I do not trust my energy with many people, and I can't remember the last time I got a reading.
Which it's fine because you have a connection to your own spirit
Right.
guides, and then you don't need a reading. So
Right.
I'm not here to save anybody. That's not, I understand really that that's why I meet everybody where they are. And I will not, give anybody a feeling that you're not far. You are at that moment the furthest that your soul is, and there's nothing wrong about it, So I meet everybody where they exactly are with lots of love.
You sure do. Yeah, absolutely. So my reading was like, I think we talked for like an hour. Was it an hour?
Yeah, I have 60 minutes or 90 minutes, and I work 1 hour before on my own, where I write everything down, Then I have like an hour and a half with the client.
That's really long.
So I just had a house visit and it ended up 2 hours, but it's beautiful. I love it.
That is long. That's very long. I'm like, Nicole, are you okay? That's long. But that's amazing. And I love that that's, all of that information downloaded. So just to give you guys a little glimpse into the reading I had, Nicole started out with some words, which was really cool. She had me write down words. My words were handwriting, direction, car, wellness, relationship, and mother. And she went over each of those words and how they connect to me and my life, which were all really amazing. I mean, the car, I had just bought a car, just so you know. I just got a brand new car. So even things like that, there was obviously messages that were extraordinarily deep in soul, and then also messages like that, which was really cool, and some advice about the car. And then she also talked about animals that she saw, and it was so interesting because the first animal that she saw was a dragon. And every single time I read for my one sister, I see a dragon. That's really, really cool, that connection. She explained what that was. She also saw a cobra and a lizard. These are all, I'm a Scorpio, so these are all very Scorpio symbols as well. But she described what they were and how they related to me as well. And then she talked a lot about stepping into my own power because you guys know I'm a shrinking violet. I'm very shy. No, I'm just kidding. But just more, more my power, my leadership roles, and not being afraid to take leadership roles and be in charge of my career and what I'm doing. Um, and really just continuing to connect with people and not worrying about the rest in a lot of ways. So this is a boiled down hour-long, unbelievably connected conversation, but I'm just kind of giving you a glimpse so you understand, the in-depth, kind of messages that come. We talked about Moses, and that was amazing, and I'm not gonna tell you everything because this is all private as well. Um, and we also talked a lot about inner child connection and work, and that, you don't have to control things when you feel your inner child coming out. You have to it would be more saying, "What do you need in this moment?" and going to that child. And your ego doesn't have control. You as an adult has control. And that was really, really powerful. Kids are allowed to feel pain and allowed to be in fear or feel whatever they want. So you as an adult needs to hold space for that child that still exists in you and still has reaction and still sometimes has the reins. So holding space for that inner child and knowing that you're an adult and you can hold space for them so that you can continue to grow and evolve. What do you feel about that and how I explain that? Can you explain further about the inner child work? Because I know when you explained it to me so beautifully, it was so powerful for me, and I'd love for you to talk about that.
Well, in 3D and 4D, we think the ego is the villain and we want to cast it out. And, we think that the ego has always fear and is always sad and always, always trouble with the ego. We have to overcome fear. We have to overcome any negative emotion. And we have to be strong within our ego. But in 5D, you understand, or you go through a process of an ego transformation, and you understand that your ego is your innocence. And with any, small child, when a child has fear, you would not say, "Oh, your chakras are not aligned. You need to, go to a person and align your chakras," or just pretend this is the worst thing ever and then you will be fine. No, when a child cries, you hold the child's hand. You love the child. You give the child support. The same process that you do with your inner, ego. And the ego is a mask that your inner child is wearing. So the ego holds all the memories about this life and past life. So anytime you get triggered, you become a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, a teenager, depends on the trigger. And then
Absolutely.
instead of trying to shut that trigger down, you through this ego transformation, you hold space for that little Erika inside of you, the little Nicole inside of me, and we develop a beautiful relationship. And that's the inner talk that we all have. That's the ego that is talking. And once we go through this ego transformation, we become the most loving parent to our own child. So when you suddenly feel fear, you always ask the question, who feels fear? Oh, it's my little one. And you immediately are connected to your little one. And then, with fear, you don't have to love the fear, but you love the one who is fearful. And through this process, you develop more courage. So you can have fear, you hold hands with your little one, and let's say you go to a job interview, So you still have the feeling of it, but you know now how to deal with it, and you hold hands with yourself. That makes you stronger. I used to have a lot of fears talking in front of people. Now I stand in front of people and I talk, and she still is fearful, but I hold hands with her, which is such a beautiful, we have this beautiful relationship, and I'm wishing and hoping through this ego transformation that everybody will develop this process, because we are in a process of entering 5D, and 5D is connecting the mind, which is the ego, with the heart. And that's why we then have this merging of the male energy with the female energy.
Do you think that's why we're seeing so much discord in the world? Because we're shifting to a new elevation, understanding, transformation, evolution?
Yes. Through my own ego transformation, your ego has to scream. The ego is the shadow. The ego is your shadow until you listen to it. So what you go through on your healing journey, there's a collective and goes through the same thing on the bigger scale. So it has to tell you, I'm here, listen to me. And it gets really loud. And that's why this is happening also in the world right now.
Right, as a collective consciousness, it's also happening.
Yes.
And that's been revealed to me as well. It's like that kind of like you have to reveal to heal, to put it really, really simply, and very
Yes.
in simple terms. And that's why so much is coming out. So tell me, where do you think you go from here? So like, what do you picture? How do you picture your sessions evolving, or your ability to communicate evolving? Where do you see this going for you? Because you're so connected in, and it'd be interesting to see how spirit continues to work with you. What does that feel like for you as you move forward?
I talk to my spirit guides also and ask them what they want me to do. So I apply, I just applied to be a speaker somewhere, and they just emailed me this morning that they want me on their show. So I follow my instinct, just, and write, and then see where it takes me. I love doing my readings over Zoom, but I also do house visits. I recently started also doing group readings, which was beautiful because each person had different messages, but then the group itself was benefiting from just listening to each of the messages, So I started also doing like group readings, and my guides are telling me and push me where to go, So I trust them and followed my instincts. So,
and I feel that so much for you, that nothing is being pushed or forced. You're just like, oh, this is great. And like, what's
yeah,
even interesting about our connection is like, there are people that are going to hear you and really want to connect with certain messages that only you can deliver. And, their guides were also pushing you to get with this audience. It's all really a beautiful connection. So I hear what you're saying. You're not pushing anything. You're allowing, and you're really making space for spirit to use you and get to work through you.
yes. Before that, I was really, really shy talking in front of other people. And now, like I said, I stand in front of 60 people or 80 people. I don't know how many was in the room. And I was like, I just stand there and talk like, I'm talking to you, and this is for me. So in my head, it's like, okay, this is 60. I don't care if it's now 600, It doesn't matter anymore because I'm just doing it. And I just wait what my spirit guides is telling me, and I do it, and I follow.
I feel like, and I wonder what you guys think listening to this, like when Nicole talks, I'm like, I feel so like calm and peaceful, like almost like that in between state when you're awake and falling asleep, not asleep because of, anything then like that peaceful energy and that peaceful feeling. And I think you have that. It's just so special. It's so special to be around. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so my last question, and I hope it's so interesting. I was thinking about your reading that you gave to me, and people always ask me, can I record the session? I always say no, because number one, spirit does not like a lot of electronic equipment, as Nicole and I saw earlier trying to do this podcast. Um,
The energy is so high, then it's kind of like, yeah.
it is so high, and it's high between us. You and I are so similar and so different, and it's this amazing balance, and it's just really cool. Um, but I always say don't record because spirit doesn't like recordings. It never works anyway. And also, when you listen back to a reading that you've recorded, you do not understand the reading in some ways. It's you're just like, "Oh, wait, what did she say?" Like, it's confusing because it is in moment of this connection and this energy, and you have to be in that energy to understand it. And that happened to me once. I had one of the best readings I've ever had in my life. This was 10 years ago, and it was earth moving, shaking for me. And I recorded it and I listened it back, and it was like, we didn't say anything. There's, like, nothing there, really. So so as I retold your reading and just kind of went over a few things, obviously it's not enough for me to retell the reading. I see the notes and I know the deeper meaning behind it. It was just an intention of like, this is kind of the flow and different things that came up, but obviously over an hour that were very powerful. So I just wanted to add that. It's very hard to retell a reading. It's very hard to, re-listen to a reading. So I know I will cherish my reading forever, and really I'm gonna book another reading if that's okay. It would be very cool if you did a full reading on the show too. I mean, maybe go too fast, but or jump ahead, but I think it would be so amazing. I truly, part of me did wish we had recorded that reading.
I tell you why I don't record. I really, really thought about it because I wanted the people get it. But I do understand when I do my reading through the process, the ego gets piece by piece transformed.
Yes.
And I do understand the ego loves to analyze. And when you analyze, the ego takes everything back and but my process is to love the ego to the other side. And the ego loves to analyze and keep you back in the loop. Remember, the ego is your shadow. Until you're giving loving attention, that's the process. Until then, ego is cheap to win. Tries everything to keep you small, keep you always feel like you are not there where you're supposed to be, always make you unworthy, always makes you all those negative things, but it has a reason, and I do understand those reasons. So I am working with your little one, and I love the little one through this process, and the little one has no idea that through this process, it's like, what just happened? Why am I not in control right now? But I feel so good.
That is beautiful.
Because there is more love on the end, and it just feels good. Because the ego transformation can only be happening through love. That's why the ego can never let go, never. It will let go of. So this is the process what the ego transformation do to you. And then suddenly you see things from the soul perspective versus from the ego perspective.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. We all go through there, and we all get
Yeah.
it because the outcome is guaranteed because you source energy.
Mm.
And it's just a journey, and everybody wakes in their own timing with their own, soul information. And there is no rush. We are in 5D. The earth is spinning in 5D, and we all get there.
What do you think, if you can, just to kind of at the end of this incredible podcast, what would you think that the angels would want in like, if they could say a few sentences, what would they want every single person on the earth to know?
Let me tune in, because it's a heavy question, because it's for everybody different. And if I could speak for the collective is going through a big shift. So there will be even more fear. There will be even more distraction. But through all this, there will be more love. So if everybody can concentrate on not finding a side and say, this is right and this is wrong, more seeing that every time there is a war, every time there's a battle, both are, victims. Both. So try not to, find a side who's right or wrong. More like both parties needs love. And through those, there's love that you can send for both sides. Each one will, heal on their own journey where they stand. So staying away from, right or wrong. It's more like seeing things that both are victims, and sending love for both will help the collective.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for coming.
It's beautiful to see you.
It's so good to see
I'm looking forward for the next reading. And yes, we can record it.
Ooh.
So I'm sure this will help.
Ooh.
If you want to put it on a podcast or not.
Part 2. I love it. Nicole, how do people find you? How can they work with you? Tell us your website, your Instagram, website and Instagram. Yeah, that's it. Tell us your website and Instagram and how they book with you.
So my website is NicoleHickmanMedium.com, and my Instagram is Nicole Hickman _medium_Akashic.
At Nicole Hickman _medium_Akashic. That's beautiful. Perfect. Well, you guys, I hope that you look Nicole up. I cherished my reading. I thought it was so special. I love sitting with Nicole so much. It's a really special connection. She's an incredibly special human. And I don't say that lightly, as I'm really only featuring a few people this entire season. And I'm so grateful that, she chose to come on. Thank you so much, Nicole, for everything, for finding me.
You're welcome.
And I really hope that you guys will look her up. I know you will. And I just am so grateful for all the love. I mean, this season, more than any other season, more and more people are tuning in and listening in and finding me and connecting. And the community of this podcast and even my Instagram is just like this sacred, incredible space. And the reason why is because of you guys and your feedback and your incredible energy that you put towards this show. I am in so much gratitude. I love you. I have many more awesome episodes coming up. I took a little break, but now find new episodes every single Tuesday. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave me a review, and lots more to come. I'm sending you all my love, my whole heart, so much gratitude, good energy, good vibes. And if you take nothing else away from this show, take with you in your heart that you are not alone. God is with you, the universe is with you, and so am I. God bless, guys. Take care and have a beautiful rest of your Tuesday or whenever you're listening to this. Take care.